Welcome back. Ed Martin here on a Pro America Report. Go to proamericareport.com. Don't forget, sign up there, get the daily wink. We do a lot of the show. We turn them into a podcast and standalones. You can go there and check them out. Standalone segments if you're interested in the 2 segments we just had, or want to track back down with Brett Decker or Andrea Kay was on the program yesterday. You can go to proamericareport.com. It kicks through and you'll see all the standalone. And of course, the podcast is always available at theanswersandiego.com. Also, theanswersandiego.com. All right, let me get to this one. I want to tell you something. I want to be very clear about this. We have talked about the problem of big tech, right? This story's been around, the story of the power of big tech, whether it's Amazon, Google, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. That's been going on for a year and a half, 2 years. We've talked a lot about it. The question is now, have you noticed in the last 2 or 3 days, we have what seems like oddly coincidental that they're moving on people who are more conservative. Carpe Donktum, a meme maker, very effective guy, makes memes sort of in the MAGA mindset. He's knocked off of Twitter. He had huge impact on Twitter, knocked off. Stefan Molyneux, who is a conservative, but he's kind of libertarian conservative, not really libertarian, actually, it's not fair, but they always call him names. He's knocked off of Google, YouTube. Millions of viewers, right? I mentioned the Reddit. Reddit has a Donald Trump a thread and sub-thread, all knocked out, right? Over and over. What you might have missed was last week the president was interviewed, and the interviewer said, "Do you think that you'll be knocked off of Twitter?" And the president said, "Yeah, by election day." And my point here is he's exactly right. And what becomes, Twitter has now been flagging the president's tweets, marking them. Now think about this. They're not marking anybody else's. Have you heard anybody from Black Lives Matter complaining that they're being silenced on Twitter? No, because they're not. Because they're afraid of them. In fact, you'll see some of the policies will say, in fact, I can't remember which of the tech companies had a policy that said, we will not discriminate against anyone, but understand that if you're in the majority, meaning white, you can be discriminated against. It's incredible. And so it's I don't know at this point how this goes on, and what the reality is of what's going to come, but I know it's not going to stop. At this point, it's clear it's not going to stop. And so the question now becomes, is there something anyone can do about it? I mean, is there something we can expect our leadership to do about it? Because at this point, it's the march is on, right? Big tech is marching towards that. If you're on Facebook, I'm having a problem on Periscope on Twitter that I can't get anybody to answer why my Periscopes are sort of not allowing enough people to come on. They used to get 50, 60, 100, sometimes 150 live viewers, and I'm stuck at maybe 8 or 9 or 10. And I can't get Twitter to answer why. They've told me it was a technical problem, and I changed out my phone. I used a different device, still nothing. So it's a strange situation, but my point here is big tech is on the march. They're not going to stop until after the election. After the election, they're probably going to go quiet. It depends on who wins or loses. But you can count on, between now and the election, more throttling back of the of conservative voices. So now you say to yourself, what are the chances that we're going to have actual leadership out of the Republican Party in the Senate? The House is in the minority. There's not much they can do. Is there going to be any? And the answer is no. The answer is there will not be any. The talking point in the swamp will be, we can't do anything in the Senate because it won't go anywhere in the House, so we're not going to bother. And we got people that are running for re-election, and we're not going to bother. And when we win the presidency again and we have the majorities, we'll do something then. When the history's written, we'll go back and look at it. Mike Cernovich has often said this on Twitter. If you at Cernovich, if you follow him, he'll often say, what did Paul Ryan, when you had the presidency, the House, and the Senate for 2 years, what did they do? Tax cuts. That's it. They didn't rein in big tech. They didn't find ways to do things like limit the power and impact of the technology companies. None of that. Didn't bother. And now we're another 2.5 years into it. 3 years later, we have scores and scores of lobbyists that are making sure there's not going to be any real action against them. It is. But back to my assessment for you. I think you should go to Parler if you can. I'm on Parler. You should go to to all those different places and find new voices. But the fact is, they're going to keep finding us, and they're going to keep pushing us away from that of those platforms to try to silence us. And one last observation: in 2016, The left and the tech companies assumed Hillary was going to win, so they didn't pull out all the stops. They didn't think they needed to. Now they're pulling out all the stops. All right, one more comment I want to put up. I put up on social media a great piece by David Limbaugh. David Limbaugh, of course, is a great writer himself, has written dozens of books. He's Rush Limbaugh's brother, and he wrote a piece which was very good over on I guess, Fox News about his opinion. He wrote a book a few years ago. Well, not a few years ago. A year and a half ago. He wrote a book, came out in 2019. And the book was about the American left, and the book is called "Guilty by Reason of Insanity," and it's about the Democrats and what they're doing. And his point is they're not going to stop. They're not stopping at George Floyd. They're not stopping at any of this stuff. They're on the move. They're also on the move. It seems to be my theme today. They're all on the move. They're on the move to try to take away who we are and what we're about. And David Limbaugh's opinion, he said he predicted it last year, is here's where this is heading. And don't think it's going to stop. And I think that sounds about right. All right. Hey, listen, I want to give a shout out to Noah, our great technical director, who's still out sick. Say a prayer for old Noah. He's been battling a little bit of a cold, so he's out again. Thank you to Randy for stepping in and helping in his stead. But we miss old Noah. Tell him, spread the word if you think of it in prayers and others to pray for him. He's a great guy and has been working really hard. The station had him working a lot of hours, and so anyway, he's a little run down. Hopefully he'll get better, and we'll be praying for him. And thank you again to Randy and also to Joanna for helping us produce the show. We will be back tomorrow night. Don't forget, go to proamericareport.com to sign up, and also go to theanswersandiego.com to track all of our podcasts and the Great Andrea Kaye Show and more. We'll be back tomorrow night. It's Ed Martin here in the Pro America Report. Talk to you then.